Who is the Cube Queen? That's the question we're going to look at today in this video. What's up, everybody? This is Brad. And let's not beat around the bush. Who is this character? Where did she come from? Could she potentially be somebody that we know already? We're going to look into that. But before we do, we got to listen to this beginning of her anthem, which is part of her set from the Battle Pass. Check this out. It's the very opening line or dialogue from her song.
Now that you have seen my returns.
In the song, she says that we have witnessed her return, which suggests that she has been on the island before. That's interesting, because this appears to be a totally new character. But is she? Well, that's the big question. Who knows? And I've got a couple of characters I want to look at that are interesting in their own ways too, to suggest that maybe, just maybe, she's either one of, that perhaps this Cube Queen is one of these three characters, or she's tied to them in some way. Now, right off the bat, the interesting thing about the Cube Queen herself is that if you look at her face, you can tell she is not a monster. She looks very human, in my opinion. Remove the special cubed magical armor from her, and in this particular image here, the purple face paint and makeup here, I suspect this is a human being. A regular Earthling, perhaps, from some reality. Which makes her very different from the Chimera that we saw in the last season and in the Sideways monsters we see in this season that listen to everything that she says. So she's very powerful, very influential, and she has mastered the cubes. They do her bidding. But we don't know yet still if these cubes are sentient, if they are self-aware, or perhaps they are some sort of living energy source, maybe a direct opposite of what the 0 point is supposed to be, in the idea that the 0 point is a sphere of energy, and these cubes are cubed energy. Perhaps they are meant to be polar opposites. Maybe one is meant to negate the other. But we really don't know that yet. But anyway, as of this moment, we are getting closer to the end of Season 8. Less than a month left. And one big update remains. And that will be happening fairly soon. But I just want to know who this... who do you guys think this character could be? So let me bring up first. We're going to go in from right to left here. I think Core is a very interesting choice here. She has red hair, very similar to, or not quite the same shade, but very similar to the Cube Queen. She's also got black hair, so it's about half and half. The thing that's interesting about Core is her left eye. It's solid blue, and that's also reflected in her contrail, which has like red and blue data energy of some sort, almost like DNA coding. She's tied to the IO. She wears the IO symbol, but we don't really know anything about her. And even her information says that she has a very mysterious connection to the IO. So I assume that because she wears their logo, she works for them. But what is her job exactly? Well, we don't know that. She's an NPC on the island. She pretty much just stands around and will sell you weapons. Dr. Sloan is the one who is leading the war against the Cube Queen. So, and she's been on the island for 2 whole seasons. Now, Sloan is at the redacted bunker, or whatever it's called now, which I assume is going to lead to the return of the brutes, the big mechs. I figure they'll develop them there. But who could Core... What is Core's purpose? What is her specific tie to the organization? Why does she have a blue eye? The blue eye is very mysterious and implies to me that she has some kind of power. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to play this other clip from the Cube Queen song. She mentions a mystery. Don't you wish you knew the mystery? What mystery? What's the mystery? Is it of the cubes? What are the cubes? What is she doing on the island? What is her true identity? What is Sloane's ultimate goal? What is she doing? What is the island? What's going on? Like we don't really know because a lot of Fortnite's lore is shrouded in mystery. Like, where is Midas? What happens to all of these characters that show up and then they just disappear? Where do they go? What happens to some of them? How does the island continue to just change so much? But that's just like I said, it's very hard to figure things out, and they keep things intentionally vague and mysterious for us to try to figure out on our own before they eventually reveal them to us in some way. But that's something to take into interesting, or that I find interesting. The next character is Torin. Now, the thing that's interesting about her is that she actually uses a cube. Her built-in emote allows her to slide into her sideways farer form, and I don't really know what the connection to that is with the sideways, but she seems to be the most familiar with the sideways. So, who is she? Does she know who the Cube Queen is? But the interesting thing there is, again, the Cube Queen leads the Sideways and the Sideways monsters, including the Caretakers. She doesn't transform into a monster like this character does. But it's still interesting that her built-in emote is based on cube power that allows her to become this monster. Her contrail is also shattered cubes, which look a lot like the ones that surround the Cube Queen in her glider, where she comes down this cube-powered flight of stairs. So, obviously Torin knows something about the cubes and the sideways. I don't think that she is actually her. I'm not even sure that Core is her either. But they're very mysterious, and Torin's specific ties to the cube and the sideways make her very interesting. Now, the last character is a character that was relevant to the story before I started playing the game, and that is Singularity. She was a part of the big storyline between the battle between the Mecha Team Leader and the Devourer. And it's assumed that she was the one, I think, who piloted Mecha Team Leader and then flew off into space. And since the end of that season, the robot has not returned, and we don't really know where Singularity is. However, Donald Mustard says that Singularity is very important to the story, and she has multiple names that she goes by. So, again, another character with red in her hair, who is missing at the moment, very important to the story, and has multiple names to go by. Could she be the Cube Queen, having returned and learned how to control this power? I'm not so sure on that one either, but I think these are interesting ideas. But again, so many characters in this game show up and then vanish without a trace, and you never know when they'll come back. Like, the Visitor was a very important character to the story. He has not come back. But other members of the Seven have, and the current focus is on the Foundation, who is their leader and the founding member of the group. So, this could be anybody. It could also be very possible that the Cube Queen is a character who was on the island before the events of Fortnite actually began. So before the IO took charge of the 0 point, perhaps she was the original person in control of that power. And that this is a character we haven't been introduced to yet, but within the lore, she's been here before. Again, just an interesting thought. And it will be I'm very much looking forward to the end of the season to see what happens. With all the rumors that this is going to be the end of chapter 2, and the idea from Dark Jonesy where there were two paths for the future, one which left total destruction, and then another one which was filled with pain and sacrifice. So who knows what's going to happen? Very possible that she could destroy the island and then lead us into a brand new era of Fortnite. I don't really know what to think on that part yet. It's interesting and exciting to think that this could be the end of the chapter, but I guess we'll just have to wait to see. There's less than a month left till the end of the season, and so far, the Cube Queen's pyramid is slowly coming together, and she will make her move soon. Also curious that the blue cube has still stayed where it is and where it's been since the beginning of the season. No movement from the blue cube. Perhaps that blue cube is tied to Core and her blue eye. That's something that just hit me just now as I was staring and remembering that the blue cube exists and hasn't done anything. So maybe, just maybe, she's tied to the cube, or she knows how to access that cube's power. Maybe she secretly helped us in the last event get the cube rebooted. I don't know. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. But we won't have to wait too much longer. Only a few more weeks. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment, like and subscribe, all that stuff. Go check out all my other videos. And we'll see you next time when we figure out what exactly this Cube Queen's plan really is.